Hello everyone, this is Stephanie. Welcome to another video. So today we're going to work on these earrings and pendant. And the way this came about was a while back we made these earrings and bracelet called the Sea Lilies pieces. And these are from the Beading School Academy boxes. And this was Sirens of the Northern Sea, I believe. So you posted so many beautiful pictures on Facebook. And one of the pictures had this component with these graduated beads around it. Now I just went with the 11-O's, and the person who made these, made this earring put 15-O's all the way around and then popped an 11-O in between the 11-O's over here, and I think it made such a beautiful earring. Isn't that pretty? It's totally different than this one. I just love it. So if you think you don't inspire me, you totally inspire me. So thank you so much for that. So I had so much fun making the earrings that I decided to put some of the units together and make a pendant. So here is the pendant, and these pendants and the earrings are using many of the beads from beadingschool.com, the Beading School Academy boxes. So I think there are at least 2 boxes, beads from 2 different boxes in this set, maybe even 3. So I'm going to link the beadingschool.com down below so that you can take a look. You can look for the beads. I'll see what colors I can find. I'll see how much I can get in there. Some of the beads are from my stash. You probably have most of these beads in your stash, so don't forget to check your stash. I'll give you a couple other sources as well. All right, so if you enjoy my videos, please like and subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you know every time I upload a video. All right, so let's get materials list going and get started. Okay, let's get a materials list going. So you need some Ginko beads. You need 8mm Chatons. You need 3mm Firepolished, 3mm Bicones, a 15-O, 11-O, and a Delica, Toho Treasure, Ico, a cylinder bead, and a couple of ear wires. So I have a couple of ear wires here. That's everything if you want to make the earring. That's the component in general, but you'll need the ear wires for the earring. If you want to go on and make the pendant, you'll need a Toho 11-O, so it's a little different size than the Miyuki and a different color. You'll need a 16mm Rivoli. You'll need a clasp, a toggle clasp. I have some ribbon here. You can also do a wire. I'm still working on this one. You can do a wire chain here. Just string some really pretty beads of your choice on a wire, and you'll need a crimp bead if you're doing that. And what else do you need? We have a little stop bead here. Oh, you need these little components. These are little navettes in settings, so they're in a setting. Now you don't have to use those, and you'll see as we go along in the video, you can put anything here. But I use these because I happen to have them, and I've never used them before, so I thought it would be fun. Did I say 8-pound Fireline black satin and the needles 10, 11, 12? Probably. All right, so I think that's everything. I'm going to list everything in the description box below the video, so please don't forget to click the down arrow to show more. The box will open, and a list of everything individually will be there. I'll try to link as many colors as I can. I'll just try to make it sort of comprehensive so that you can get to everything that you might need for this, should you need to purchase some beads. All right, so let's clear this off and get started. Let's make a component. So thread your needle with about 4 feet of thread, put on a stop bead in the middle because we'll use both threads. So I picked up and dropped down to my stop bead a Ginko bead and 4 11-O's. So I've come through this hole here, 4 11-O's. I'm just going to sew through the other side of my Ginko bead. This is what I have. Next up, I picked up a fire polish bead, a Ginko bead, and 4 11-O's, like that. Here, I'm going to drop them down so you'll see how it connects to the previous one. So here we go, fire polish, Ginko, 4 11-O's, sewing through the side of the Ginko bead, and then I'm going to sew through this side, like that. And that's what it looks like. Okay, so I've done the same thing again. I picked up a fire polish, a Ginko bead, and 4 11-O's. That guy's kind of like a darker color, but that's okay. And we'll sew through the other side of the Ginko, like that. Then I'm going to pick up a fire polish, a Ginko, and 4 11-0s. I'm going to drop those down. This is what it looks like. And I'm going to sew through the other side of the Ginko bead, like that. Just hold that down. Pull. This is what it looks like so far. Okay, next up we have a fire polish bead. So I'm adding 1 fire polish bead here to complete the unit, and then I'm going to sew up through this Ginko bead right here. Like that. And then I'm going to sew through the next 2 11-0s on top of this Ginko. Like that. That second one. There we go. I'll move my finger in a second. So this is what I have so far. Okay, next up I'm going to pick up 1 11-0. I'm exiting the second 11-0 of that group of 4. I'm going to sew down through these 2 11-0s. The next 2 11-0s, giving me a little point there, and then down this Ginko bead, like that. Okay, this is what I have so far. So I'm exiting the side of the Ginko bead here. I've put that 11-0 right there, kind of made a point. So now I'm going to pick up 3 of my Delicas, and I'm exiting this hole of the Ginko. I'm just going to sew through the next Ginko up through the bottom to the top, like that. It's going to place those 3 Delicas right there. You want them in front of the fire polish. So I'm exiting the top hole here of the Ginko, and I'm going to sew through these 2 11-0s, just like that. Then I'm going to add an 11-0 in between these 4. So right here, I'm just going to sew through these 2 11-0s, and then down the Ginko bead. We'll do it again. This is what I have so far. Let's repeat that. So I'm going to pick up 3 of my Delicas. I'm exiting the bottom hole of this Ginko bead. I'm going to sew up through the bottom hole of this Ginko bead and 2 of the 11-0s, and I can only get 1 at the moment. So here, put those Delicas on. So here I'm going to sew through the second one here. So those 2, like that. I'm going to add my 11-0. So exiting these 2, I'm going to just sew through the next 2, and then down this Ginko bead, like that. So that's what you're going to do all the way around. You're just going to repeat that, and then we'll be picking up my last 3 Delicas. I'm exiting the Ginko here. I'm just going to sew through the next, so up through the next one like we've been doing. I just probably pop through that 11-0 too, something like that. Just add those last 3 Delicas right there in front of the fire polish bead, and then we're just going to sew through all these 11-0s on top of this Ginko bead till we get to this one, this side, and then we're going to sew down through the Ginko like that, and then through the first 2 Delicas of that group of 3. So exiting that center Delica right there. That's what it looks like. Yeah, let's move on. So we're exiting the center Delica of this group of 3. Oops, right there. So I'm going to pick up a 15-0, a Delica, and a 15-0, and I'm going to sew through this, just hop over here to the center Delica of the next group of 3. Just like that. Let's do it again. 15-0, Delica, 15-0, exiting the center Delica of this group of 3, sew through the next one, Got it. Do that 2 more times and then we'll continue. My last group of 15-0 Delica 15-0, sewing through the center Delica, so that's where we started, of that group of 3. That's what it looks like. Okay, now I'm going to advance my needle just through this 15-0 and this Delica. Right there. So that's the Delica in the middle of that first group of 15-0, Delica 15-0, like that. I'm going to pick up a 15-0, mixing this Delica here. I'm going to skip over to this group and sew through this Delica. Like that. Do it again. 15-0, exiting this Delica. I'm just going to hop over to the center one here. Put that one on. I'm just going to do that all the way around. Like that. Got one more. Sitting here, sewing through this one. Like that. So now you have your little pocket done. Now what I want you to do with this thread, you're exiting this Delica right here. I want you to sew through this 15-0 and then up through, you see this group of 3, the center one, and then the end one of that group of 3. We're just setting up our thread for later embellishment. So you will be exiting, I just pull this, you'll be exiting this Delica of the group of 3. So you've put them on, you've come through this Delica and then this one. And we're just going to leave that thread for later. Okay, this is what it looks like so far. I'm going to flip it over. Now we're just leaving that thread. I'm just going to flip it over to the other side. And you want to, I think you'll be exiting Ginko bead. You just want to make sure you want to sew through this fire polish bead. So you want to make sure you're exiting a fire polish bead here. Like that. Okay, next up, I'm exiting this fire polish bead. I picked up 2 15-0s, an 11-0 and 2 15-0s. I'm just going to sew through the next fire polish bead. If you have to bend it a little bit to get it in there, that's fine. Put that on. You want to pull super tight here, just nice, even tension. Do that again. 2 15-0s, an 11-0, and 2 15-0s. Exiting this fire polish, I'm going to sew through the next fire polish. Like that. So you can do that 2 more times. Coming down to my last group of 2 15-0s, 11-0 and 2 15-0s. Exiting the fire polish, I'm going to sew through this original fire polish here. Like that. And then up through the 2 15-0s and the 11-0 of that group of 5 beads that we put on. So you'll be exiting that middle 11-0. Just like that. This is where we are so far. We're exiting that middle 11-0 of that group of 5. I'm going to pop my stone in. Like that. And then I'm going to pick up a 15-0, a 3mm bicone, and a 15-0. Like that. And I'm going to sew through that just right over to that middle 11-0 of that next group of 5 that we put on. So just like that. 15-0, bicone, 15-0, exiting the 11-0. I'm going to just hop over to the next 11-0, that group of 5. Just going to do that 2 more times. Okay, picking up my last group of 15-0, a 3mm bicone and a 15-0. I'm exiting that center 11-0, so you want to just hop over to this one right here, so the center 11-0, the next group. I'm going to pop that on and pull. You're going to give that a nice snug pull, and you can just, if you want, you can reinforce it. Don't reinforce it more than once though, because we have to go through these beads again, and I don't want you to fill these beads up with too much thread, so it's easy for you to get around. So just reinforce just once, and then we'll continue. Reinforced once, I just came around, and I'm exiting one of the 11-0s here, right here. I'm just going to I'm going to sort of turn my piece to the side a little bit, and I'm going to sew through these two 15-0s, just like that.
Okay, next up we're going to pick up 3 Delicas. We're exiting those 15-0s. I'm going to sew through the next 2 15-0s and the next 11-0. And that's going to place that 3 Delicas just right around that edge there. So that'll give you a nice little edge there, and it's also going to be there for your connection if you're doing the pendant. So then you're just going to advance your needle through the next 2 15-0s. You're going to pick up 3 Delicas, and you're going to sew through the next 2 15-0s. Now this is a voiceover right now because I lost my audio on this clip, so I don't know what I was saying there, but just follow along with me. You're coming out of those 2 15-0s, 3 Delicas, through the next 2 15-0s and the next 11-0. Just like that. Advance your needle through the next 2 15-0s. And pick up your 3 Delicas again. And hop over to those 15-0s, 11-0, 15-0s. And you're going to put your 3 Delicas on. So you're just going to continue that all the way around.
Okay, so I've put on my last group of 3 Delicas. I've come through 2 15-0s and 11-0. Now, if you want, at this point, you can just sew this thread in, or you can come down the next 2 15-0s. And I've already done this, but my clip didn't come out very good, so I'm redoing it. So you can come down these 2 15-0s, and this Delica, the first Delica of the group of 3, and then you can skip this Delica and sew through the next one, and then the next 2 15-0s. Well, I actually can't get through it because I've already done it, but here, so you just skip that middle Delica, and when you pull and you go through the 15-0s and you give it a pull, let me see if I can get through those. Yeah, I actually can. So here we go. Like that. You see how it pops that Delica up over here? So you can just do that all the way around. I've already done it, so I mean, I don't think I can get I think it would be difficult to get my needle through the rest of them again, but so you can do that to make these pop out. If they look good without doing that, you don't have to do that. And then you're just going to sew this thread in, and then we'll finish up on the back. Okay, we're done with the front, so let's flip it over. And remember, we set this the thread up, so we're exiting one of the end Delicas here, so just like that. Now I'm going to pick up 5 of my 15-0s, and I'm going to sew through all these beads. So all the 11-0s on the top, like that, like that. You can kind of flip it over as you go if you like to see how it looks. So see how those little 15-0s make it look so, so pretty and finished on the edge? So pretty. And then 5 of your 15-0s exiting this guy. Then you're just going to sew through this Delica, all 3 of them. You want to come out that 3rd one, so that's going to embellish the other side. Make sure you're coming out of this one. Like that. So when I turn it over, that's what it looks like. We'll do that one more time together, and then I'll let you finish on your own. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15-0s. Exiting this Delica right here on the back. Just going to sew through all these 11-0s. Like that. And then 5 15-0s. Gonna sew, we're exiting here, we're just going to sew through these 3 Delicas. 2 there. And then number 3. And just kind of place it, push it in place with your finger. Okay, so when I turn it over, that's how it looks. So you're just going to do that 2 more times, and then you're going to sew this thread in. So if you want to make an earring, I'm going to just show you what I did here. So I threaded my needle with about 1.5 feet of thread, put on a stop bead, and I left enough of a tail to sew in. Let me just grab a needle. Actually, I'll grab my pin. All right, so I've just sewn up through these 2 beads right here, these 2 11-ohs, not that tippy top one, these 2. I added 2 15-ohs, my ear wire, and then I came through the ear wire, and then I added 2 more 15-ohs on the other side, so that's where it's going to connect. And then I came down these 2 on the other side. So I started here, came through, and then I came down the second 11-oh on the other side, right there. And then what I did, I'm just going to turn my piece around. Just make sure I'm going the right way. Okay, so I'm exiting the 11-ohs on this side. I just went through all these beads, so all the 15-ohs, this Delica, 15-oh, Delica, 15-oh, Delica, and then I came back up all the beads on this side. So I'm reinforcing here. I came through the beads again, and that's how I secured this, and I pulled very tight. You want to make sure that that ring on your ear wire is held on by the beads, and the way I did that is I pulled very tight, and this middle bead here popped in the back, and I let it do that, and then after I was done and I pulled my my thread pretty tight, I popped this way, and when I did that, it pushed this in the back, and it's perfect, and it's nice and strong. So I hope that was clear enough. I had already done it, so I just thought I'd talk you through it, and I think that it was pretty clear. So through the 11-ohs, 2 15-ohs, the ring, 2 15-ohs, down these 2 11-ohs, all the way around the back and up again, and then tighten it up, pop this out, sew your threads in, and you've got a pair of earrings. Next step for the pendant, we're going to sew 4 of the units together, and then we're going to put our Rivoli in the center. But first you're just going to situate these pieces so they look just like that, and then thread your needle with I do about 3 feet of thread, put on a stop bead with enough of a tail to sew in, and then we'll start sewing this together. We'll add a few bicones in there as well. So I'm just going to take my needle, and I'm going to sew through the 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. See these 4 11-ohs right at the point of the pieces? So all we have to do is really just go through this one like that, and then this one, and then this one, like that, and then the last one. Pull out a little bit so that when I pull them together, and I'm going to go through the first one again. I just want to get myself situated here, and so you can see the thread path. Okay, so here's my thread path. It's like that. And then you're going to go through that original one again to close it up. I'll try to leave it on the mat. Like that. Be careful you don't get twisted around a little bit. So here I'll just give you the thread path again here. So here's my tail thread. Here my thread, I've just come all the way around and then through the first one again. And when I pull it together, see, it just pulls those center beads together. So then you want to just reinforce what you just did, and then we'll continue. Okay, so I've reinforced, and I have all 4 of these 11-ohs sewn together in the center. Pull in a teeny bit here. I'm exiting one right here. So I want you to continue down the side here through the next 2 11-ohs and 3 15-ohs. So I'm going to hear that I've gone through 2 11-ohs and 2 15-ohs there. Just have to get through one more. So like that, and then one more. like that. And so I was exiting here, I went through these 2 11-0s on the side and then 3 15-0s. Now I'm going to pick up 3mm bicone, and I'm going to have to kind of skip this here. So I want to sew up the same on this side. So I'm going to sew up, so 1, 2, 3 15-0s, the 2 11-0s, and then this, I'm going to sew up, let me try that again. So I'm going to sew up, I'm going to count here, 1, 2 11-0s, 1, 2, 3 15-0s, and I'm going to start here and sew up the 3 15-0s and then those 2 11-0s. Just get my needle in there and then I'll sew just like that. Okay. So you'll be exiting that 11-0 here, but you still have that point that you're not going through the point 11-0. So when I pull, it's going to place that bicone right there, and I'll be exiting the 11-0 before the point 11-0. Okay, next up we're going to go back up this way to secure that bicone. So I'm exiting this 11-0 here. I'm going to sew through the same beads on the other side. So let me see if I can get my needle in there easily. So here are these 2 11-0s right here. The 3 15-0s underneath, like that. Then I'm going to go through the bicone, like that. Pull, and then I'm going to go sew through. So I'm coming through the bicone. I'm going to sew through the 3 15-0s here, and then the 2 11-0s. Above them. If you can't get them all at once, just do whatever you can. Let's see. Okay, so here I got that. I know it's a little picky, sticky work, but once you get it going, it should be fine. Okay, here, so I'm going to go through that 11-0, like that. And now you have this side sewn together. So you're just going to move your needle. So I'm exiting that 11-0. I'm going to move my needle through we're going on the center, the center 4 beads again. And then I'm going to repeat that on this side. Down and up, move over, down and up, do the same thing here. Okay, so I pulled in really tight, so we're done sewing it together. Now we're going to add our rivelet right here. So let's make a little base for it. So you're going to thread your needle with about 2 feet of thread, put on a stoppie, leave enough of a tail to sew in. So I'm working with these beads here. So when I look at my unit here, see this bead here, this 11-0, this 11-0, this 11-0, and this 11-0. So I've just sewn through that first 11-0. So those are the 4 11-0s. We're going to use our connection points like that. I picked up a 15-0, a Miyuki 15-0, a Miyuki 11-0, and I'm using a Toho 11-0. See how different that is from a Miyuki? It's like another bead as far as I'm concerned. So it's a little bit bigger, so it's perfect for here. But if you don't have the Toho, I'm sure you can just use, another Miyuki 11-0. So 15-0, 11-0 Miyuki, 11-0 Toho, 3mm bicone, 11-0 Toho, 11-0 Miyuki, and a 15-0. I'm exiting this bead right here. I'm just going to sew through that center bead of the next unit right there. Do you see that's just going to put this group right across here. So you're just going to repeat that all the way around. I've gotten 3 sides on, so you want to put your rivelet in at this point. So just make sure it fits under the beads like that. And then I'm just going to use my last group of 15-0, 11-0, 11-0, 3mm bicone, 11-0, 11-0, and a 15-0. Then I'm just going to go through that original one I started with, so that's this one to close the bezel. And when I pull, this is what it looks like so far. Okay, so we've got to do a little bit more. So here I've come around here. I'm pressing it down a little bit just to make sure my stone is going to stay in there. Exiting, I came through that 11-0 in there, right there. I'm just going to sew through this whole group of beads, the 15-0, both 11-0s, the 3mm bicone, the Toho 11-0, and the Miyuki 11-0. So I'm not going through the 15-0 as well. I'm just stopping at that 11-0. And you'll probably pull out a little bit because it's loose. So there we go. That's what we have so far. So you're exiting the Miyuki 11-0 after the Toho 11-0. You're going to pick up your Miyuki 11-0, and you're going to sew through in the next group, you're going to sew through the 11-0, Miyuki, Toho, Bicone, Toho, Miyuki. So you're just doing the 11-0s here. You're coming out of the 11-0, so like that. So you're putting an 11-0 in the corner there. Like that. Don't worry about if it feels loose. You just need to go all the way around with that, and then you can tighten up both ends. All right, so get that done, come back, and we'll continue. Coming down to my last 11-0 in the corner, so I've come through all the beads. I'm exiting the Miyuki 11-0 after the Toho, picking up my 11-0, sewing through the Miyuki 11-0 Toho, and so on. Just want to get that snug, so see what happens when I give it a little pull. This is what it looks like. So then you just want to go around and reinforce everything. And if you are using a smaller Rivoli, or your shape is slightly different, you can always, when you're sewing around, you can always skip the middle one you put on and just sew through, skip it and sew through, skip this one and sew through. Whatever makes it fit better. But if you're using, this is a 16mm, that should work pretty well. All right, so get that reinforced, come back, and we'll continue. So it can be done right now, except we're going to put a hanger on the back. So this is what it looks like. Here's the back. It's very dimensional. It's kind of like petals of a flower. I like that it's got some dimension to it. It's not just flat. So here we go. That's what it looks like so far. Now, I'm going to put something here, 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 and here. You have many options of what you can put there. You can just pop a pearl in there if that's what you have, or a druck bead. If you have these really pretty crystals in settings, that's what I'm going to try and get in there. You can put those in. You can try a diamond duo or a gem duo. So you really have a lot of options here, or nothing at all. Put it, just whatever you have in your stash. See what looks nice. But it's, like I said, I think it's just pretty just this way as well. All right, so we're going to get started, and we'll just do this last embellishment, and then we'll put these little components in their settings. But like I said, you can pretty much put anything you want there. So I've switched to the red one because I did the blue and I did the clip, and I thought, okay, this is fine. Went to bed and woke up in the middle of the night. I must have been dreaming about it, and I thought, this is a better way of putting these little components on. So I think I spend probably 25% of my time on a design, just the initial design, and then 75% of my time trying to perfect that. So thread your needle with a couple feet of thread, maybe 2.5 feet of thread, put on a stop bead, leave enough of a tail to sew in. I'm using these beads here, so this bicone, this 3mm bicone, I've just come through it. I think my thread is exiting right there. I know it's tough to see because it's all sparkly. Picking up a 15-0. So I'm going from this bicone here to this Delica on this unit here, like that. And then I'm going to pick up another 15-0, my little component. I'm just going to go through the holes on the component, so like that. Then I'm going to pick up a 15-0. I'm going to sew through the Delica on this unit. Then I'm going to pick up a 15-0. Coming out of the Delica, I'm going to sew through the bicone. So that's how I'm going to initially put this on. Now the bottom is not sewn down yet, but you will do that, but that's how you're going to do this all the way around. So move over to next bicone, do your unit, move over to next bicone, and such. So and so on, and you can reinforce also. So probably going around and reinforcing is a really good idea right here. And then we will come back and continue. I just want to show you how to tack down the bottom here. So I've threaded my needle, with a foot of thread or less. Put on a stop bead, left a tail to sew in. So I'll just get these available here. So here's where my point is here. Here I have the 3/11-ohs here, 3/11-ohs here. I'm just going to sew, and here are all the 15-ohs. I'm going to sew through these two and not that last one. There we go, like that. Oh, this is picky stuff, but we'll give it a shot. So I'm picking up a 15-oh now. So I'm exiting, see these two 11-ohs on the side here, not that third one. I'm going to pick up on a 15-oh. I'm going to sew through the hole. I'm going to pick up a 15-oh, and I'm going to go through the two on this side. So just if you look at the 15-ohs here around the edge, you'll just sew through these two. Like that. And that's going to tack it down. I'm going to pull too tight, just enough to make it nice and snug. So that's going to tack the component down. Now if you want, before you went through, you could add some 15-ohs on the side. I think it's just might be getting too picky for me as far as, and too too much or something. No, it's not too much. Okay, so all I did at this point is I sewed my thread in. But you can just use all the beads to come around to get to the next two, which will be, when you look at the side, these two and these two. So you just look at your 15-ohs, so the two 11-ohs after the 15-ohs, so tack that down. You can move your way around again. You can go on the back and move your way around to get to the next one until you have all four. Let's get a bail started. So I've threaded my needle with, a couple feet of thread, put on a stop bead, left enough of a tail to sew in. So I've sewn through these two 11. So here, this is where I'm putting my bail. So I've sewn through these two 3/11-ohs here, and then down these two. So these 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the point. So you see where I've entered here, and my thread is exiting. That'll, the 5th bead here, this 11-oh. I'm going to pick up 4 of my 11-ohs, and I'm going to just come around and sew through all those beads again. So see, I'm just coming around. I'm just setting up now to get a herringbone bail on. So 4 seed beads, just working my way around again. That's going to, I'll just move my stop bead here. It's going to go on the back like that. See? So I've come through these 3 and then down these 2 again. Okay. So I've just placed those 4 beads, see, on the back like that. And then, I've come around again, all 5 beads, and I'm going to sew back up through 2 of the beads I put on. Like that. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Okay, I'm going to turn my piece around, and I'm just going to do some connecting here. So I'm going to pick up 2, let's do 3 11-ohs. And we're going to sew up through these 3 on this side. So 1, 2, and 3. I can only get 2 right now, so I'll just do 2. And number 3. And that kind of secures it on the back a little bit. You can turn it to the front again. Pick up 2 11-ohs. Now you're just going to go down 1. Make sure that turns into a stitch. And up 2 on the other side. In there, so like that. I'm going to pull that tight, give that a pull, push it down with your thumb, Make sure you pull your stop bead. You can, at this point, you can, your tail thread, you can really sew in your tail thread at this point if you want things to stay nice and tight. So down, picking up 2, going down 1 on this side, and then up 2 on this side. Here we go. And you're just going to continue doing that until you have as many herringbone stitches. I've got one on this side too, but you know, ignore that. So just do as many herringbone stitches as you like. I did 15 to fit an 8mm pearl in the bail, you know, on either side of the bail. But if you're doing a ribbon, you might want to make it smaller, or if your chain, you know, your chain is going to be different, make it smaller. So just keep doing it, and then kind of think about your chain and wrap it around some beads to see how that bail is looking. All right, so get that done, come back, and we'll attach the bail to the back. Let's attach it to the back. So I'm exiting one of my, you know, the end of my herringbone. So I've picked up an 11/0. Drop that down, and then I'm going to sew through this Delica at the very point of my Ginko bead there. So that's where I'm going to attach. Make sure it goes in this direction. Like so. That's what I have so far. I'm going to pick up another 11/0. So I'm exiting this Delica in here, and I'm going to sew through, I don't know, maybe 3 of the 11/0s on my herringbone. Like that. When I pull, that's just going to attach the bail to the back. So here I'll pull it out so you can see the thread path easier. So here we've added 11/0. We went through this Delica, we added an 11/0, and we went up the bail. And then all you're going to do is sew up and down a bit on your bail to reinforce this thread, and then you are all set with your bail. Okay, we're back and we're done, and I love it with the ribbon. I put a double ribbon on this, and the 15 beads for the herringbone worked out beautifully for that. So here are your earrings, here's your pendant with the ribbon, and then this one, all I did was use some beading wire, and I just strung beads around. I started with an 8mm here on either side of the bail, same bail, nothing has changed, and then I just picked some beads from my stash and started, you know, just started a chain, and then of course, you know, you would just put your clasp on at the end. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you make this and post it on Facebook. It's not that hard. It seems like, you know, a lot of work, but, you know, because it's components, you can do one a day, and then all you do is sewing it together. All right, so thank you so much for being here with me. Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.